Alright guys, let's go ahead and install VirtualBox onto your machines and get started with creating our first virtual machine, right? So go to your downloads folder and find the VirtualBox installer file and let's go ahead and install it, right? To install it, all you have to do is run this particular program or the installer, just double click. It will take a couple of seconds and then start the installer for you. So it will ask you for a permission, say yes, click on yes, and then it will start installing, right? So it says, welcome to the Oracle VM VirtualBox Setup Wizard, right? All you have to do is just simply go ahead and click next at each and every prompt, right? So next, it will say what kind of setup, the location, next. It says network interfaces. Momentarily, your network interface would go down. Do not worry about it. That's just hardly a second. All you have to do is click yes, yes, install. All right, so the installation is done. We can simply go ahead and click on finish and it will very quickly start the VirtualBox main screen. And there it is, right? This is how the screen would look like once you start VirtualBox for the very first time, right? On the left hand side, you have this tools menu or the tools section. Over the top, you have three menus, file, machine, help, and these are some quick start buttons. Now, we'll just quickly go ahead and install the extension packs and then we can get started with creating our first virtual machine. All you have to do is you can click over here and then select extensions. Now, it will give you one option saying install. Click on that button. Now, all you have to do is find your VirtualBox extension pack file that we downloaded from the official website. So if you go to the downloads folder, you will have this particular file with a green icon saying Oracle VM VirtualBox extension pack. Select it, click on open, and the installation will begin. It will give you a pop-up like this. Click on install. Now, at the VirtualBox license screen, all you have to do is scroll down, click on I agree, and that's it. That basically installs it. And immediately you can see an extension pack has been listed and it is marked as active. That's it. That's all you need. The initial setup is done. Let's go ahead and create our first virtual machine, right? So all you have to do is come over here and go back to the welcome screen and click on this button saying new. So that will open the prompt to create a new virtual machine. Click on new. Now this will open a box saying create virtual machine and ask you for several options. Now let me take you through all of these things. The first thing first is name. Now ensure that anytime and every time you create a new virtual machine, you give a meaningful name, right? If you give some fancy name, there could be problems. Why? You'll see over here quickly. Now, quickly observe the screen. It will be asking you for the name, the folder where exactly this virtual machine would be stored. The default path is C users, username, and VirtualBox VMs. It will ask you for the ISO file. The type is Microsoft Windows, and version is Windows 10. Now, observe. We are now going to install or create a virtual machine to install Ubuntu Linux onto it. The moment I type in Ubuntu Linux, you will see the type has been detected as Linux and the version is selected as Ubuntu 64. Now, what happened was the moment I typed in the name of the virtual machine saying Ubuntu, it detected that it is a known system that is going to be installed, which is Ubuntu. So it already in the background, it created some configuration for me. This is the reason why you have to give meaningful names to your virtual machine, right? Now, next thing you have to do over here is choose the ISO image file. Remember the ISO file we downloaded? We have to connect it over here, right? All you have to do is click on this drop down, click on other, find your ISO file. This is my ISO file, click open, right? So it will detect what kind of ISO is there and then it will show you something like this. Don't worry about it. This is the major configuration that we need, right? So the name has been given, the ISO file has been set, the type and version has been set. All you have to do is go ahead and click on next, right, we'll come to the hardware configuration, wherein you basically go ahead and give the amount of RAM and the CPU count for your virtual machine. Typically, when we give the name as Ubuntu, the system detected what OS is going to be installed and it will make the default configurations as seen over here. So, an Ubuntu VM would typically require one single CPU and 2 GB of memory, right? That is 2048 megabytes of memory. That is more than enough. We do not have to configure anything over here right now. We can simply go ahead and click on next, right? Now it will ask you for the virtual hard disk space. How much hard drive space do you need for this virtual machine? By default, it is 25 gigabytes. You can go ahead and increase the size or decrease the size. I would always recommend use at least 30 to 40 gigabytes of hard drive space because these systems are modern and they sometimes do create issues when the disk space is less than 40 gigabytes. So very simply, I'll go ahead and set it to 40 GB, right? And then go ahead and click on next. And then this is the summary of the virtual machine, how it is going to be configured. And very simply, if you go ahead and click on finish, you will see the virtual machine has been created with the name Ubuntu Linux, and we are ready to roll, right? So this will be all for this video. We'll start installing Ubuntu Linux into this virtual machine in the next one.